Welcome to Four Wheels in a Seat. My name is Alex Dalrymple and I'm down here on the beautiful south coast of New South Wales at Ulladulla for the launch of the all-new Mazda CX-60. Now before we begin, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and give me a like as well if you enjoy the video. I release new car review videos every week. The CX-60 is an all-new model that slots in between the CX-5 and CX-8 in Mazda's product lineup. It is also Mazda's first all-hybrid lineup with 3 powertrains, 2 of which are mild hybrids and Mazda's first ever plug-in hybrid. Not only is it slightly larger than the CX-5, it is also more refined and more powerful, with Mazda looking to take market share from Euro car makers like Volvo and Audi. Outwardly, you might think this looks quite similar to many other Mazda SUVs, and that's a fair call, but their Kodo design language has evolved somewhat to now include what they call noble toughness, and that's evident here at the front with the redesigned front light clusters that are now stacked vertically rather than horizontally, and the front grille has expanded a little bit, and we've got that huge Mazda badge at the front there. In profile, there's no mistaking this for anything other than a Mazda. It's a classic design. This particular car is a top-spec Azami with an SP option pack, so it scores black 20-inch alloys that look amazing. And I do like this, although you can't really quite see it as well because this car's in black, but this fake insert here with inline 6 written on it has a bit of an Aston Martin flavour to it. The CX-60 also picks up a new rear end design. Gone are these small round tail lights that Mazda have used for years, replaced with these horizontal LEDs that look really good. The powered tailgate hides a 477 litre storage space, which is plenty. You can expand it by a further 700 litres with the rear seats down. You might notice that the CX-60 has a fairly long bonnet, and well, that's to make room for Mazda's first ever longitudinal straight 6 engine. It's replacing the V6, and there's 2 of them, a petrol and a diesel. This is the petrol one, and it outputs 209 kilowatts of power and 450 newton meters of torque. Fuel efficiency averages at 7.4 litres per 100 kilometres on a combined cycle. All CX-60s are all-wheel drive, and they drive that power via a 8-speed automatic transmission. There are 3 trim levels of the CX-60, Evolve, GT and Azami. This is the top spec Azami, so we get the plushest interior, which includes Napa leather seats, suede inserts here on the dash, which feel a bit like that movie Get Him to the Greek where they're rubbing the furry wall. I don't know why, but it reminds me of that. We also have a 2-tone steering wheel here as well. The layout of the dash will be immediately familiar to anyone who's driven a Mazda in the last several years, but there are a few crucial differences. The top spec cars get a larger 12.3-inch widescreen that maddeningly is not a touch screen. It can only be used in touch mode when you're using wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless Android Auto when the car is stopped. Otherwise, you can only control functions using the lower jog wheel down here on the lower console. This is a safety feature with Mazda trying to encourage us to keep our eyes on the road. Moving down the console, we've got the climate controls, which are pretty busy. There's a lot of buttons here, and none of the functionality for the climate control can be operated through the center screen, which is something that a lot of car makers are doing, but Mazda have kept the 2 separate. Under that, wireless phone charging and the 12-volt outlet. We've got cup holders under a little cubby door there, the My Drive selector allowing you to select the various drive modes. This gear shifter has actually caught a few of my fellow motoring riders out over the last couple of days because it's easy to leave the car in reverse accidentally. To put it in park, you've got to put it up and to the right, which is just something that takes a little bit of getting used to. And a nice dual opening lid bin here, which is kind of on the shallow side, but there's 2 USB-C ports in there as well. The head-up display in front of the driver has been simplified. Again, Mazda don't want to overwhelm the driver with too much information, so we can keep our eyes on the road. The instrument cluster is, I think, the first all-digital one Mazda have done. I haven't encountered any full digital ones in other Mazda products. There's 2 different display modes available that you can switch between, and there's various trip and battery and fuel information you can cycle through over there on the right-hand side, as well as having digital speed display in the center of the speedometer there. The steering wheel is 2-toned in leather with some nice stitching. I'm not mad about the tan steering wheel in the middle. I think black would probably look better. It just looks a bit odd to me, but horses for courses. The actual design of the wheel is very similar to the one in the MX-5, so it has that nice sort of sporty feel to it. The seats are Napa leather. They're heated and ventilated with electric lumbar support and very, very comfortable. This is a really nice place to sit with great visibility out the front. You can see right to the front of that long bonnet. Pretty good visibility through the rear vision mirror through the back window there, and the wing mirrors are a good size too with blind spot monitors. Backseat passengers will be very comfortable in the CX-60 with loads of room. I'm 190 centimetres tall behind my own seating position, knees nowhere near the seat in front. Headroom just a little limited with my hair just touching the ceiling, but I reckon we can give that a pass. The outboard seats here are heated, and there are also two USB-C ports in the lower center console here, as well as a 240 volt outlet, meaning you can plug in any domestic device you like. Armrest with cup holders. We've got that beautiful panoramic sunroof giving backseat passengers a great view. I think kids especially will be very happy in the back of the CX-60. There is something that feels immediately familiar about driving this car. There's a certain Mazda-ness to it that comes across all of their products, and it's even the smell of this car. It just immediately feels familiar. On this launch for the CX-60, I've driven all three engine types, the diesel, the plug-in hybrid, and this petrol. And I'd have to say that the diesel is actually a lot less diesel-like than you would think it would be. It sounds and behaves more like a petrol engine. And certainly on the twisty roads that we were driving on yesterday on our way to Mollymook, it really performed brilliantly. The plug-in hybrid, I don't know, it just didn't really quite feel as electric, forgive the pun, as I would think it could have been. And look, that could have something to do with the fact that I have just recently driven a Kia EV6 GT, so it's an unfair comparison. It's good, but the four-cylinder engine compared to this straight six, just not quite as good. It just feels a little underpowered. But in terms of driving dynamics, one thing that all three of these cars have in common is that they are terrific. They corner beautifully, they stay really flat, they're fun to throw into corners and accelerate hard out of. Mazda have a philosophy called driving entertainment, and that is so evident in these cars. The petrol variant gets 3 drive modes: normal, sport, and off-road. And unlike a lot of cars, sport mode really does seem to make a bit of a difference. It doesn't just hang on to the gears longer. Everything does feel just a little bit more performance ready. And the noise from the engine, and this is true of the diesel as well, is great. In fact, since I'm not paying the petrol bill today, we might just keep it in sport all the time. You don't get bored of that noise. So with these performance attributes, Mazda really are trying to make an SUV that's not just going to be your daily driver for picking up the kids and doing the shopping. They're trying to make a car that's actually really genuinely fun to drive. Safety gear, well, you really want for nothing. As you can see from the list on the screen, this car is pretty stocked. In terms of things that I've encountered so far, the blind spot monitors work really well. So does the driver attention warning. This car uses facial recognition to know who is behind the wheel. So not only will it be able to tell when your attention is taken away from the road, but it can also remember your seating position and the steering wheel position as well. It does seem a little strange to me that Mazda have come out with a plug-in hybrid right now. It's not something I would do personally, but I'm not in charge of the company. I'm wondering where they fit into the mix these days, because EVs are becoming so much more affordable. They're about the same price as a plug-in hybrid, and the plug-in hybrids just don't drive as well. They can now go almost as far. So I'm kind of wondering why Mazda didn't go for a full EV with the CX-60. I mean, they might still do that further down the track, who knows, but I think it's a missed opportunity to not go there and just take the leap straight into electrification rather than sort of a half baby step. Because an electric one of these, if the petrol and diesel versions are anything to go by, would be amazing. The CX-60 range starts at just under $60,000 for the 6-cylinder Evolve and goes to just over $85,000 for the plug-in hybrid Azami, plus on-road costs. Mazda's premium philosophy has seen them move from being a very good car maker of affordable cars to an upper mid-range car maker looking to take on the likes of the Europeans. And with the CX-60 and the forthcoming CX-70, 80 and 90, I think they've got a pretty good chance.